Okay, this is to wrap it up for tonight. In the background you can see the capacitor, or I should say capacitor can. It's all done. The only thing I have to wait for is for the epoxy to harden, and you also see the tubes in the background. Now, what did I do after the last update? Well, I prolonged the speaker wires because they were a bit too short to service the radio. So basically I just soldered on two parts, and I used shrink tubing to cover up the solder point. So I did that. I also cleaned the front of the tuning capacitor, and it's now completely cleaned of the dirt and the oxidation layer, and as you can see it's pretty shiny, so that's good. I also connected up the let me take a pointer. I also connected up the fuse holder, and as you can see the epoxy is, well, stiff, really stiff, but not rock hard yet. So, but that'll be okay. And I connected it up with the wires. You see the brown wires up to the switch. And how did I do that? Well, like I said in the previous update, I drilled two holes. You see here. You see one hole here, another hole there, and I soldered up the wires, one to each end. So effectively I made a circuit break here. I took a tiny part away of the copper trace. I know some of you will probably not agree with what I did, or well, will maybe feel a bit outraged I did this, but like I said many times before, these old appliances do need a fuse, and if that's what it takes, well, then that's what I do. I tried to keep the damage to an absolute minimum. Also, I drilled a hole. I had to be careful where I drilled the holes, because as you see I didn't have that much space to work with. So I drilled right next to the trace at the bottom, as you can see. So I was really careful to look where I drilled and how deep or how far I went with it. So the only thing that needs to be done, I mean work-wise on the chassis, is to connect up the capacitor can to the PCB and connect up the speaker to the wires. Oh, I was almost forgetting it, and I also have to connect the tuning coil or the antenna coil to the tuner capacitor. So that still needs to be done, but the speaker and the antenna coil I'll do once the chassis is mounted back into the cabinet. So that's it for now. I'll be back with an update once everything is mounted inside the cabinet.